In the second episode of Mobile Suit Gundam The Witch from Mercury, it has officially become a witch hunt. And what do we do with witches? Powerful Nerdcast assemble! Stay dandy, baby. Greetings, fellow Gundam fans, and welcome to my review of Episode 2 of The Witch from Mercury, an episode which goes into an entirely different direction than everything we saw from Episode 0 and 1 of the series. We take a break from all the mobile suit battling, and we go to another cornerstone of the Gundam franchise. That's right, politics. Love them or hate them, politics are an important element of just about every single Gundam anime series, and here, they do something a little different with it. It looks like the politics in this series are going to be all around corporate warfare. And while that might not sound all that exciting, I have to say that this was a surprisingly riveting episode, especially for the sense that it was very realistic. Realistic in a sense that after the last episode when Suletta brought out her aerial Gundam and showed it off to the entire school and everyone else that was involved in the Benneret group, they immediately realized, hold the phone, this thing is a Gundam, we gotta arrest this chick, and we have got to assess the situation. I found this interesting because I thought that maybe they were gonna drag this element of the series out just a little bit more. Maybe there's gonna be a little more mystery to the Benneret group trying to decide if this was a Gundam or not, but no, the leader, Delling, Miorine's father's like, get that fucking robot out of there, we gotta do something about this. This is also the beginning of the witch hunt, as Suletta is immediately arrested and thrown into a jail cell, which is unfortunate because we don't get to see a lot of her in this episode. A lot of it mostly focuses on a lot of the brand new characters and Miorine, which honestly, I think does work for this episode, as we finally got to see more of the dynamic between her and her father, which is contentious to say the least. But ultimately, this episode of The Witch from Mercury also dealt with something that's also been very prevalent in a lot of other Gundam anime series, which is discrimination. Political battles and discrimination are nothing new to Gundam. It was one of the cornerstones of the original series, the battle between the Earth Federation and the Zeons. People from space, people from Earth. And that seems to be what's going on in this series as well, as it seems that everybody from space seems to really have a big problem with people from Earth, otherwise known as the Earthians. And we get to see that dynamic play out in a couple of different ways in this episode. One that I found was really interesting is we got to spend some time with Nika Nanora, the character from the first episode who was very helpful in the big first mobile suit battle of the series. She herself is an Earthian along with a couple of her friends, this one girl who goes by the name of, yes, Choo Choo. Okay, that's gotta be some sort of nickname. Let's look up what her real name is. Apparently it's Chuaturi Pan Lunch. The fuck? Look, the point is, all of the people from Earth are looked down upon by the Spacians, including those bitches from the first episode of the series. Basically, we get to see that there is going to be a lot of contention amongst all these various people in the series, which ultimately is probably going to lead to a lot of conflict. This is also tied directly to Delling and the Benneret group, as anybody who seems like they could be in opposition to them or could be involved with a gun-to-arm technology is seen simply as a witch. And that brings us to who I think is the most interesting character of this episode, a brand new character who goes by the name of Lady Prospera, who is effectively, I think, going to be our Char clone of the series. Yes, there is a third classic element of Gundam anime series: giant robots, politics, and a mysterious person wearing a mask. And Lady Prospera most definitely meets this description, as she's a part of this organization which is known as the Shinsei Development Company. They're actually the ones who are responsible for creating the aerial mobile suit. And if it's not obvious enough, Lady Prospera is almost certainly Suletta's mother. All of this makes perfect sense, and it continues to tie her to the character of Char Aznable, as she's a mysterious, masked character who's trying to get revenge against a corrupt organization. She also manages to carry a lot of that gravitas and charismatic energy that Char had as well, and like I said, if it wasn't obvious enough that this is Suletta's mother, she even has prosthetic limbs. But essentially, Lady Prospera is brought in to speak to Delling and the Benneret group to sort of plead her case about the aerial and the fact that it's not actually a Gundam at all. She tries to cover up the whole thing and saying that it's actually some brand new drone technology. How brazen is that shit? She just walks in here with a shit-eating grin on her face and says, yeah, my DJI technology is what you need to be looking at, not the giant Gundam. She also appears to be directly working with Gwail Jeddark's father. This also adds up, as he seems to have a very big problem with Delling in the way that he's running the entire organization. Hell, he tried to kill him in the last episode, so it only makes sense that he would work with a mysterious masked woman. This episode makes it very clear that Delling is also a very hardcore ruler. He does not accept any bullshit or nonsense. He doesn't take it from Lady Prospera, even when she gives him all of this information about the aerial and the fact that it apparently meets the regulations of what current mobile suits are supposed to be. He still says, no, you're wrong, it's a Gundam. Even with this though, Lady Prospera seems to have a lot of confidence about her abilities to display the aerial and showing that it's not exactly a Gundam. She even goes as far as to ripping off her very own prosthetic arm and throwing it right at Gwail's father, which is pretty brazen and pretty amazing. But let's get back to the main characters for just a second, Suletta and Miorine. Like I said, Suletta is in jail for most of this episode and she doesn't really get to do much, which is a shame, but it is also a great way to introduce another character who goes by the name of Ellen Sarris. He's a character who appeared in the last episode of the series and he has an extreme interest in Suletta. And at first it might seem like it might be romantic. They even hinted the fact that he's this cold-hearted guy who simply can't fall in love and he's just so infatuated with Suletta. But I don't really believe that it's actually her that he cares about. It's more the Gund-arm technology. He's more interested in Gundams, and he's gonna learn about it by getting close to this character. Now, who knows? It could turn into some sort of weird love triangle with him, Suletta, and Miorine. We're just gonna have to wait and see how that plays out. But throughout the course of this episode, he gets closer to her, bringing her food and just assuring her that he's interested in her, which of course causes her to blush. It's cute and blah, 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 blah. But then there's Miorine, who's really the main character of this episode, as she's been summoned by her father, and man, she is just not having any of this. When she actually arrives to that space colony where all the entire Benerit group is, she immediately goes into a hissy fit. She does not want to deal with her father at freaking all. In fact, she even has the opportunity to escape again as she meets up with this one mysterious woman who's connected to the group that was trying to allow her to escape in the very first episode, as she tries to make her way to Earth for reasons. We don't really know. We just know that she has a huge problem with her father being the one that constantly controls her life, who she's going to marry, who she associates with, and even having a lot of problem with her mother, who apparently passed away and apparently she couldn't be involved with her funeral at all. Basically, you get to see that Delling is kind of a dick. And the way the episode ends goes in a pretty interesting direction, as at first it looks like she's actually going to try and escape again, but instead she decides to confront her father, who's in the middle of trying to take down Lady Prospera and her organization, and she essentially walks out, calls out her dad, and essentially challenges him to a duel. And it looks like Suletta is going to be involved in that as well, as they're reunited by the end of the episode as we prepare for another big mobile suit battle. And make sure to stick around because there is a post-credit scene with a little mobile suit action, which was very appreciated after a very political heavy episode. We get to see some brand new mobile suits which look admittedly really awesome, in particular this one red one which has the ability to separate these limbs from its body, which can spin around with beam weaponry, and it uses it to slice through a couple of other mobile suits like a hot knife through butter. And it looks really damn good doing it. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those mobile suits that is going to be in the next episode. Maybe that's going to be a part of this big duel. We definitely got to see previews of that in the opening of this episode. Yes, we finally get an opening for the series, and I'm gonna have to watch it a few more times before I appreciate it, but I really do like a lot of the imagery in it overall. It's got me very excited to see what's going to be next for the series, the mysteries, the dynamics between the characters, and of course, lots more Gundam porn, which for me is something that I really like to see. So overall, I thought that the second episode of the series was really solid in a political sense. Again, giving us something a little different than some of the other political things that we've seen from the other series, being very heavy on this whole like corporate warfare thing. And what I also loved about this episode, again, is how they continue to dole out more of the characters themselves. They all seem remarkably interesting. I thought that they were going to be very one-note and boring considering that this was a school setting, but I like the dynamic and the whole tension between the fact that there's this like weird little war going on between people from Earth, people from space, and again, like I said, that's kind of a cornerstone of the series. They even managed to build up that one character of Shadiq, the guy who was overseeing the battle from the last episode. He's apparently related to one of the bigwigs of Benerit Group as well, well, and I have a feeling he's going to end up being a pretty important character. But this episode really gave us some standouts with the introduction of Lady Prospera, Miorine finally standing up to her father. Unfortunately, Suletta not getting to do much, but I have a feeling she's definitely going to do something a little more interesting in the next episode. And depending on how this duel goes, we'll probably get to learn a little bit more about the Gundam technology and the overall plan of Lady Prospera, which I believe is to ultimately get revenge against this group and bring that Gundam technology to the forefront. It's probably going to catapult into a much bigger conflict as the series goes on, especially when we get into the next half of the series, but again, that remains to be seen. The good news is the second episode, just like the first, continues to look really good. Super clean, great animation, fantastic and super distinct character designs, so that every single time a character's on screen, you're not confused as to who they are. Everybody looks great and distinct, and I love that. Even the ridiculousness of Choo Choo with her crazy ass hair, every character just manages to really pop in this series. It continues to look great, and I can't wait to see more. Basically what I'm saying is, I really liked this episode too. No, it wasn't a giant action fest, and not every episode is going to be, but it gave us something important. Lore and background of the series, and continuing to do it in a pretty riveting way, which honestly I think is really great. So if I had to give a score to this one, I'd say it's another 4 out of 5 from me. I really enjoyed it. But most importantly, I want to hear from you guys. Make sure to sound off in the comment section below and tell me what you thought about the second episode of Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury. What are you hoping to see from the coming duel? What did you think of the political elements in the series? Is Lady Prospera really the mother of Suletta, or is it a completely brand new character? Do you think she's our Char clone for the series? Let's talk about all that stuff in the comments below. I also just want to thank you guys so much for watching my review of the very first episode of the series. Full transparency, it's like the best viewed video that I've made in like 2 years. It got tons of views, lots of likes, amazing comments and discussions from you guys. I got to interact with some of you as well. Let's continue to see these videos grow and thrive. I can't wait to take this journey with you guys. Thank you so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.